I am capable of opening a tube of Pringles and only eating 5 of them. Everybody knows I'm snaffling the whole lot in one go.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
We need to deal with the reality of the situation.
Rome wasn't going to be built in a day. I highlighted in the preview the 8 interim managers and full-time managers that went before him have all failed to win their first game. Make it 9 now that Wilshere's done it.
It's clear that the players' confidence is shot. What I don't understand totally 100% is why.
What we saw yesterday in the main is what we've seen for the last 18 months, and we're now into our third manager. Is it the manager? No.
It just feels like we're back in the conference days now, where the expectation is so high, and I'm not sure the players can cope with it.
We have to find a way that when we take a punch on the chin, that we don't go down and take the 10 count, that we do what Fury did against Wilder, get up and come back fighting.
I genuinely think we need to scrap this idea that we're going to get promoted. Take that off the table.
If you have pelters for me, you have pelters for me. The reaction to the Nicky Wells substitution in the crowd was just not right. We're not going to play this style of football that we want us to do whilst there's a fear culture created around the football pitch. The Jack Wilshere era at Kenilworth Road began how so many before it began, with the town failing to win when they went down to a 2-0 defeat against Mansfield Town. Alongside me to look back on an afternoon which had some promise, but once again plenty of disappointment, is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, what did you think of that?
It's the hype that kills you, isn't it?
Certainly was on Saturday, wasn't it? Yeah, we'll look back on the game, what we can take from it and what we can't, right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast, having scooped bronze in the Best Football League podcast category in the Football Content Awards. As ever, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned prior to that intro, we're looking back on Luton Town 0, Mansfield Town 2, Jack Wilshere's first game in charge. And I've got the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe alongside me as always. Jimbo, once again, I've done the instant reaction, so people have seen my immediate thoughts on the game. Obviously, we're 24 hours on. I know you were very doom and gloom after the full-time whistle yesterday. Have you changed your outlook?
No. No. Yeah, it's just more of the same, wasn't it, really? I mean, none of what I'm going to say today is really on Jack Wilshere. He's had 5 days, probably 4, if they had their usual Thursday day off to work with the team. The size of the task he's got ahead of him was always going to be big, but now he's realised just how big it is. Hopefully he's realised, but and I think people are the same. I mean, he got clapped on his way off the pitch where the players got booed. It's clear where the fan base think the issues are. And now that you've swapped manager, there's no hiding place on that, I don't think.
No, there isn't. And we'll come on to the players in a moment. Obviously, the day kind of was about Wilshere. So we'll talk about the differences that we got out of him as opposed to what's gone before, because there were some differences. And if we're going to go forward, we need to build on those differences. But also, I suppose the first positive, you've already highlighted it, Jimbo. The first positive is he saw all the nooks, the crannies and the bolts and everything right in front of his very eyes that need fixing. Now, you can watch as many Luton games as you like on video. And you know, he alluded to the fact in his pre-match press conference that he was up until sort of 1 a.m. watching videos of Luton games. Christ knows how he slept having watched any of them. But you can watch all the videos you like. You can see all of the people in training. They can tell you good things in training. They can show you good things in training. But until you see them out on the football pitch on a Saturday afternoon, you don't really know for yourself exactly what the issues are. So the positive is the players didn't hide the issues that we've had all season. They were there in that second half in particular. They were there for the whole world to see. Jack Wilshere, Chris Powell, whoever was watching, they were there with glowing lights on.
They were, and I mean, I guess it's whether you're glass half full or glass half empty, is it? Because you're seeing that as a positive, and I guess you can probably frame it that way. I'm just thinking, wow, they've walked it, they've seen that, and just, I mean, we could have all gone home after the second goal. The last half an hour was completely pointless, and and that's kind of the part of the problem. But it's not just one problem, is it? There's problems everywhere. You got a defence that concedes out of nothing. You got strikers that couldn't finish a sandwich. You know, midfielders not linking the play. You face a bit of adversity. You go under. You get a chance to go ahead. You don't take it, and then absolutely no way of getting back into a game once you've gone behind. We're still in a position where the only games we've won, we've kept a clean sheet in. Um, and so all that sort of goodwill and positivity in the build up, and it was because it felt different, and he said the right things. But he's got a hell of a job to get them doing those things that he said, because there was precious little evidence of it.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that Rome wasn't going to be built in a day. I highlighted in the preview the 8 interim managers and full-time managers that went before him have all failed to win their first game. Make it 9 now that Wilshire's done it. But if we're going to go forward under Wilshere, and let's hope we do go forward under him, because we're all sick and tired of going backwards, aren't we? If we're going to go forward under him, then it's good that he's seen all of the issues in one go that quickly. Let's say, for example, and we'll come on to the game in a minute, but let's say, for example, the penalty did go in. We did what we did against Doncaster. We held on for a 1-0 win. That would have papered over a lot of the problems, because the problem materialised within 20 minutes at Blackpool 3 days later after the Doncaster game. He hasn't got that issue now. He's seen in front of him exactly what he's got to work on, exactly what he's got to work on, not things that people have told him are okay and things that aren't okay. He's seen with his own eyes now what clearly isn't okay, because what we saw yesterday, and you're absolutely right, what we saw yesterday in the main is what we've seen for the last 18 months, and we're now into our third manager who's seeing this. So is it the manager? No, we didn't think it was the manager. There's an awful lot of other things at this football club that have got problems. It's not just the manager. That's not to say that Bloomfield should have stayed. He shouldn't. That was made crystal clear at Stevenage. But the turnaround of this ship goes way beyond a change in manager, and the manager can only do so much. We'll come on to that again in a moment. The team sheet, I think it was probably largely what I expected. In the situation that we're in, I always expected Wilshere to go with experience. I hope that he doesn't go with experience too often. I've said on this podcast for the last 12 months, it's the experienced players that are getting us into trouble, and it's the youngsters that are trying to get us out of trouble.
Apart from Jordan Clark.
Apart from Jordan Clark, of course. So hopefully that's something that he's learned straight away, that he can see, see that. I mean, so I was okay. I was okay with the team sheet. Would I have picked that team? No, I wouldn't have picked Nicky Wells up front. I'm not talking in hindsight, but we picked Nicky Wells up front at Blackpool. Ball kept on bouncing off of him, and eventually he had to be substituted, and hey presto, that's exactly what happened again yesterday. I wouldn't have picked Cal Naismith. I understand why he did. He's his captain. I just don't think he's got any legs left, and his form is a real concern for me. And there were, one or two other things that maybe I wouldn't have picked either. But I was okay with the team. I expected him to use his experienced players, and that's fine. And I think most people that I spoke to before the game were okay with the team. But I think the issue people have is, does Ali Al-Hamadi actually exist? Because we're now 7 weeks on from the guy signing for us when we was told he had a slight calf strain. You've been told for weeks that he's on the grass. There's still no sign of the bloke. Now, this is a guy who we need, right? Because the 3 strikers that we've got, let's keep Bode out of it because he hasn't really had a proper go. So the 3 strikers that we've got, Wells, Nordos and Yates, I think they've got 1 open play goal between the lot of them. So we need Al-Hamadi, and he's still nowhere to be seen. Now, this whole season's been based on learning from our mistakes. Well, that's a mistake we've clearly not learnt from. Either something's happened because we were told, or it was strongly hinted when he signed, we're targeting the Lincoln game, but if he's not making the Lincoln game, he'll definitely make the Doncaster game. Well, Lincoln game was 4 weeks ago yesterday. Doncaster was 3 weeks ago yesterday, and there's still no sign of the geezer. Okay, we saw him on that video. He was in the front row of the room when they were sat in the canteen. So he does exist. But why are we signing players, particularly a loan player, which he is until we actually are forced to cough up the dough at the end of the season? By the time he kicks a football for us in the league, we're going to have been beyond a quarter of the season, and we can't score a bloody goal. You know that's winding people up. That whole recruitment side of things is starting to wind people up. We haven't got a recognised right back. We've signed Hakeem Odoffin, who we think is going to be the right back, but he's in the same situation. Signed in July, and I understand there's complications with what it was, but there were other right backs out there, Jimbo. Do you know what I mean? We've not signed the second coming of Cafu. We've not signed the latest Trent Alexander-Arnold, or at least I don't think we have. If we have, and we've signed someone absolutely fantastic, then brilliant. But he wouldn't have been playing for Rotherham if that was the case. No disrespect to the guy. We were told that Matt wanted to build towards a back four. So his right back was Rue Walters, who he never trusted after that Sunderland debacle last season. Yeah, we didn't even bring a right back in once Izzy Jones had his stress fracture. Once we knew Odoffin wasn't going to be around for 3 months, 4 months, however long it was. We didn't bring another right back, even on loan. Bring a right back into January or whatever, just to get us through this period, because either we wanted to go to a back four, in which case we needed to sign another right back, or we were being bullshit and we didn't want to go to a back four, and it was just someone saying something to get us out of the mire. But either way, this has got to change under Jack. We've got to stop signing players who are going to be of no use to us by not even being on the football pitch, because he's handcuffed before he starts.
Yeah, well, on Ali Al Hamidi, I did ask Bloomfield. You've not seen the quotes because he got sacked in between. The last time I spoke to him was on that matter was pre Stevenage, and I asked him with a view ahead to the Mansfield game, is he going to be available? And he said probably not. So I wasn't expecting. You just haven't seen those quotes because he got sacked, and then Jack Wilshere came in. So that was the situation there. Hakeem Doffin's obviously had that injury. We saw a couple of players back on the grass, and Wilshere came back, which I guess is a positive, and that's something we're going to have to follow up in the next time we speak to him, because yeah, those things are they are an issue, and when if we get a full complement back, then you've got players to pick from, and hopefully things might change. But I mean, if the problem is the players, then even so, I don't see that this situation is going to change until the transfer window's done in January, and that's earliest of February. Players would have to bed in, whoever they get in. I just,
But you had a
yeah,
chance in the transfer window to change it. And we signed 2 players who, here we are, on October the 19th, are nowhere near kicking a league football for us.
yeah. I mean, that's fair to say, and they're not the reason that we lost to Mansfield, though.
Of
But
course they're not.
yeah,
But they're the reason why the same things keep happening, Jimbo, because it's the same people who are put in the same positions to do the same thing. I mean, the best football clubs nail recruitment, right? I mean, I've just watched Liverpool lose to Manchester United and spend 350 million quid in the process of doing it. The best, whereas last season they spent bobbins and won the league. The best football clubs nail recruitment. When we were going through on the up, we nailed recruitment. Yes, you get some things wrong. For every James Collins, there's a Jake Jervis. For every Matty Pearson and Sonny Bradley, there's centre backs that don't necessarily nail it. Ditto in midfield and things like that. Not every single signing comes off. But to sign players who, what are we now? Let's call it 3 months into the season. We've only got 1 game left before we're 3 months into the season. Haven't kicked a ball for us. That's not nailing recruitment, is it? And if it doesn't matter who the manager is, right? And it doesn't matter who the players are. If we're not going to nail recruitment, we're not going to go forward as a football club, because, as I've just said, the best football clubs is what they nail. Why are Arsenal suddenly top of the Premier League? Because they've nailed recruitment this summer. Why weren't they top of the Premier League last year? Because they had no depth, because their recruitment was terrible. It is it's probably the most important thing at a football club right now. And we're constantly putting players, or getting hold of players who aren't on the football pitch. This isn't just this summer. This is last summer as well. How many minutes has Shandon Baptiste played for this football club? Now we're not going to see him again till the end of this season. It's like, it's a recurring theme. And until we get that right, I'm not overly convinced that we can go anywhere near far enough forward that Jack thinks we can go forward. So let's hope that that's the first thing that we've learned on Saturday, to give him some players that he needs so that we're not playing players out of position, so that he can play players who can do the job for him, because some of the football in that first half was okay. It was. It was okay. Take out that chance, that early chance that they missed that Keeley kept us at 0-0. From that moment onwards, we built into the game. We were playing through the thirds. Midfielders were showing for the ball and were being given the ball. They were showing for the ball at Blackpool, and we decided to pump it over their heads. Different story this time. They were showing for the ball. They got the ball. We worked it through the thirds. Clark was having an absolute dream day whenever he got on the half turn and went forward. He would either pick out Ali, maybe Kadir, or he would go into the box himself. He was having a really good game, and we could have had 3 goals in that time. Should have had 3 goals in that time. Maybe even 4. The Clark shot that gets deflected over from the resulting corner, Millie Ali, I'm pretty sure, misses a free header, bounces down at his feet. The penalty and the Clark shot that I think the goalkeeper's got a touch on and pushed it onto the post.
Yep.
Yeah, we could have had 4 goals in that time. But there's every single game we could have had 4 goals. We could have had 2 goals at Stevenage before they even looked at our goal, but we didn't. We could have had the opening goal against Cardiff, but we didn't. So the one thing that we've either got to nail recruitment with better players, or this environment that we keep hearing about has got to allow for some consequences for players not doing their job. And that's what it is, ultimately. Did Nakeed Wells miss that penalty on purpose? Of course he didn't. No one's stupid enough to think he did. But that's 2 penalties on the trot now. We can't possibly put ourselves in a situation where he's taken a third one, surely. Particularly when Kadira was on the pitch and scored the one that he was on. There seems to be no consequence for not doing their jobs properly. And if the people at the top end of the pitch don't do their jobs properly, we're knackered, because full well, once they get a chance at the other end, well, George Savile said it after Stevenage, didn't he? Once they get a chance at the other end, bosh. And there it is. It just so happened that the killer through ball was played by us.
It's coulda, shoulda, woulda about all those chances, isn't it? The fact is we didn't take them. We don't take them. We're not ruthless. And then we get punished by pretty much a carbon copy shot of the Jordan Clark one. Their keeper's pulled off a worldie. And Oates has stuck it top bins. And I think it can't becoming coincidence now. It's just,
No.
it's symptomatic. And I think, it's clear that the players' confidence is shot. What I don't understand totally 100% is why. It's because they've got rid of most of the players from the Premier League. Some of them did get relegated last year, but they've got 14 new players in. How can all of them come in and just pick up where the previous squad had been doing? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, and I don't know how that can possibly be fixed. I've asked a couple of questions about it because I think it's the biggest thing, and I'm not sure anyone knows really how to fix that. Because if you could click your fingers and the confidence was back, great. But every time, I mean, in the Premier League, it was understandable that you get punished if you made a mistake. That's fine. The Championship, to agree, to still be having players punish us in League One. It just now seems like that is the norm, and I don't know whether it's something. It's this is, I'm being facetious, but this is something in the water, the brace or something that they're all. It's just a contagion that's affecting everything, because I don't understand that aspect of it. So even if you do get to the transfer window, sign a bunch more players, how will that not happen again? Because there's no connection with some of them to what has gone before, and that was the whole point of it. Perhaps we should have done it after the Premier League. I think that the board have almost acknowledged that in recent weeks, that maybe they should have moved some more players on when they got relegated from the Premier League and to the Championship. But they've done it this time, and it's still not effective. But that's what Sheffield United did when we both got relegated from the Premier League. They and the manager at the time said that they had to change the losing mentality. So is that what it is? Is that I don't know. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss for words of how to describe this situation. but we just keep seeing it.
But that goes back to what I think is a positive, that Jack's seen it straight off the bat. You know, we've not waited 5 games and had the new manager bounce, papered over these cracks, and then fallen back into place. He's seen it right from the start, and let's hope he is the man to sort it out. How do you sort it out? Yeah, you're right. Who knows? If it was a simple fix, we'd have fixed it 15 months ago, because no one wants us to be losing football matches and careering down to a position where people are now starting to look at the relegation zone in League One looming a lot larger than what we wanted.
If
I,
if
I
I'm if
think
I'm going to pick out some things where I think I feel more positive, is was the stuff that I picked out in the previous podcast when we were talking about Wilshere, and it's but we're still only talking about hope. We hope this, we hope that, but my hope is that, Chris Powell and his work in the culture shift of England can have an effect there. Jack Wilshere having spent his playing career in elite circumstances. Hopefully that can translate some way, although there seems a big chasm between what he experienced and League One. So that, if I wouldn't say I'm totally despondent, because there are those things, but it still is hope rather than certainty, isn't it?
I mean, it was always going to be after one game, wasn't it? I mean, he said right at the start of the podcast he only had 5 days. We probably didn't have that. I've seen him in so many media outlets. I don't suppose he even had that much. And hopefully that all settles down this week and he can get some work done ahead of Northampton. I mean, ultimately, Jimbo, I mean, we keep on getting told that it's confidence. And yeah, you can see that people are low on confidence. I get that. But that's not a reason for collapsing. That's a mentality that we're not strong enough, that when things are going against us, that we've got it within ourselves to fight back. And we haven't got it. They scored a brilliant goal yesterday. Admittedly, we played cracking through ball for them, but the finish is a brilliant finish. Now, whilst we're in League One, teams are going to play up to us, because we were in the Premier League 15 months ago. We've only played 12 teams. At least 8 of their managers have quoted us being in the Premier League 15 months ago. So if they're quoting it in their press conferences, they're sure as quoting it in the dressing room. These were in the Premier League 15 months ago. Go and give them a right good game, etc., etc., etc. Is he going to score a worldie like that ever again? Probably not, because if he did, he wouldn't play for Mansfield.
Yeah, but why does it keep
Because
happening? Why?
they play up for us. But I'm not bothered about the first goal going in, right? He probably doesn't even try that shot anywhere else. When there's no profile and prestige on the game, he probably takes it a little bit further. If he scored those every single Saturday, I'm not disrespecting you, Mansfield, but if he does that every single Saturday, then your neighbours on the doorstep, Notts Forest, are going after him, because that's the kind of quality that you get in the Premier League. He doesn't, otherwise he wouldn't be there. But our reaction every time something goes bad at this football club, since Bournemouth scored that 4th goal on that fateful night down at Vitality Stadium, and we're going on well over 18 months now. Every single time something goes against us, we collapse. There is
Yeah,
no fight
absolutely.
back. Now, things are going to go against us, right? Even if Jack Wilshere has us playing the most fantastic football that he wants us to play, teams are going to do things against us. Now, he's got to find a way. Now, whether it's through these personnel, whether it's through dropping these personnel and bringing other personnel in, whether it's stripping out all of the staff that's down there, or whatever the answer is, and I don't know it because I've never worked in an elite situation, but there has to be it, because otherwise we're knackered, aren't we? And we're careering towards the conference again. We have to find a way that when we take a punch on the chin, that we don't go down and take the 10 count, that we do what Fury did against Wilder, get up and come back fighting. But when that first goal went in yesterday, I didn't see anyone go up to Nicky Wells, put their arm around him and say, "Don't worry, mate, you've effed up. Get your head up, get up the other end and put it right," or anything like that. I didn't see that. I haven't seen that from a Luton player for a long time. In fact, the last time I saw it, Chris Makosso did it to someone. Mark McGuinness, maybe, towards the end of last season. Chris Makosso, a 21-year-old, did it. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see anyone on the pitch raising their arms and saying, "Look, they've scored. We've still got 50 minutes. We're playing well. Let's get our heads up and let's get ourselves back in the game." What I saw was everyone slump. They went further down, and Mansfield should have scored a second almost immediately. How he's missed that, I've absolutely no idea. Not just missed it, sending it halfway to Bedford. And then obviously we've come out from half time. whatever was said at halftime made no difference. They've hit the crossbar. From the Kennel offended, it looks like they've had an absolute stonewall penalty turned down. And then they're given a penalty, which is just a load of these days, isn't it? He's the geezer's closer to Mads Anderson than what I am to you, isn't he? But it was given. Maybe it was given because the previous one wasn't. But then you see the difference, don't you? Roberts sits Kearley down, rolls it in the corner. Wells actually had the keeper going well earlier before he hit the shot. If he'd looked up, he'd have seen where the goalie was going. Just roll it in that very same corner that Roberts rolled it in, and all is good. But our reaction to disappointments has to be so much better. And I'll come on to it's not just the players, because the crowd really do have to start playing their part in this as well. But, the players can do their bit. Someone has just got to get in amongst them and say, it ain't the end of the world. We've conceded a worldy goal. It was their only chance after Kearley. Well, it wasn't even a chance, was it? After the Kearley save in the first 5 minutes. It's the only other time they looked at our goal in the half at that point. It wasn't like we were playing badly. At that point, if someone was going to score the first goal, it was us, not them. But we can't keep having this, because we're going nowhere if we keep having this. Now, again, I don't know the answer. But that is where Wilshere and Powell have got to sort it out. Forget personnel, and yes, they can be helped out by having players who don't get injured all the time or are injured before they kick a ball for us. But this mentality thing has to stop. And I can only assume it needs leaders, because when we were in trouble under Graham Jones, we didn't collapse like this. That was the last time we were in genuine trouble before this spell started, right? We didn't collapse like this. We had a little bit of fight about us. I mean, we're going to give the result of the competition and do another competition, and the competition is about the Middlesbrough game. We went down twice in that game, and we came back and we levelled. Okay, I know people with their glass half full will say, well, we were 2-0 down to Blackpool, but they collapsed and helped us. If we don't get help, it's been way too long since we've looked like getting back into a game of football.
Yeah, way too long. I mean, if you need someone to come in and shake things up, maybe somebody putting a call to Ronnie Henry to turn up on a Saturday is part of the backroom staff now. They were in the academy, but I genuinely feel, and this was a viewpoint I heard yesterday as well. So it just feels like we're back in the conference days now, where um, the expectation is so high, and I'm not sure the players can cope with it. And that comes down to what you said about leaders sometimes, bit of fight. We've got a young squad. They've purposely tried to reduce the average age in that transfer window, so maybe that's something to do with it. But it feels like that, and it's been such a long time. It feels like a bit of an alien situation to me. And there'll be people out here watching this who are younger that were never there and didn't experience that as well. But that's what it feels like, because for 5 years we were expecting we should get out of this division, no trouble, in the conference, and it was a slog, and it was hard, and it was difficult, and I think we're back there now, really. And I think my take on it is one way to perhaps relieve some pressure and maybe help the confidence, but it's more about pressure. I think we need to. I genuinely think we need to scrap this idea that we're going to get promoted. Take that off the table. It may be unpalatable to some people, but are you seeing a team that's promote? Are you seeing a team that's promotion ready, a capable promotion? The table doesn't lie. We're 4 points from the drop zone, 8 points from the playoffs. Not one in 3 games, one win in 6. Can't score goals, conceding them at will. I think we need to stop that. I don't think that that's helping. And if you take that off the table and say, right, we're just gonna try and consolidate, get the team fighting, turn the corner, get them playing in a particular way, and build this base for next season. I don't want that. I would want to be back in the Championship, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So let's just take that off the table, I think, and then see what happens. And maybe there might be a nice little bonus at the end of it. But that's how I'm kind of feeling about the whole situation from yesterday, from what I saw, particularly that last half an hour where there was nothing going on. I mean, I think Jack was kind saying they were trying things, but there wasn't anything, nothing that Mansfield had to get a sweat on about. Nothing.
No, there wasn't. I mean, the stats are quite damning, aren't they? And no shot on target in the second half when, for the most part, you're 2-0 down in that second half. When was the penalty? About 54 minutes, something like that. So with injury time, 40 minutes of action that we've not had a shot on target when we're 2-0 down. That's not good enough. That goes in with what I said about the response. You're right with what you said just then about the squad, and they're obviously reducing the age of the squad. They have signed some experienced players, though. Cal Naismith, George Saville, Nicky Wells for three. Unfortunately, the form of two of them is leaving plenty to be desired, which really isn't helping matters. A young squad is always going to need its leaders. That said, I don't think it's a particularly young side that was going out on the pitch yesterday, was it? You've got Midley Ali who's 21. Okay, fair enough. You've got Gideon Kadir who's 21, and Chris Makosso who's young, and Lamine Fanny as well. And that's only 4 of the 10 outfield players that are what you would call young. You wouldn't call, well, maybe Mengi as well, but he's been around long enough now to be considered senior enough. He was out on loan in this division prior to signing for us, and obviously you definitely wouldn't call Mads Anderson, Jordan Clark, and the spine of the side young. So I'm not sure it's that. It's just like I said. I mean, no one wins their battles. Okay, let's keep Clark out of this, but no one wins their battles. If 4 or 5 of you won your personal battles, then at least we've got a foothold in the game. No one really does that consistently enough. And as I say, there seems to be no accountability for people not doing their jobs. Now, I go back to what I said at the start. I thought Jack would pick that team. He hasn't seen Nicky Wells playing as a lone striker with his own eyes. He's probably seen it on a video. I would assume the Blackpool game was recent enough that he was going to use that as a starting point for his videos. It doesn't work. He's not got the physicality. He drops deep. He tries to link up play, but his first touch, the ball just bounces off of him right now. It's no use to man or beast. It did at Blackpool too. Obviously, his second touch for the opener against Mansfield wasn't particularly helpful either. But then on the flip side of that, you look at the first half stats. We come in with an XG of 2.04. We should have scored 2 goals in that first half. We should have, and I know we keep on saying this, and that goes back to what I'm saying about consequence of people not doing their job. And let's hope that the people who didn't do their job on Saturday do not get the starting berth this coming Saturday at Northampton. But that first half was good. And I'm not all a believer in the statistics, but I did see Luton on top for the most part in that first half. I did see different sorts of passing to what I saw under Matt. At any stage under Matt, certainly towards the end under Matt, we were getting the ball into Clark and Fanny in really good positions. I mean, the penalty, you know, Clark gave a masterclass on dancing through the defence, didn't he? And he would have scored, I think, had he not have been clipped, had his heels not have been clipped, because he'd had the sort of sight earlier that hit the post. And who knows, if we had have scored and we were playing the football that we were playing with a little bit of there was a little bit of a confident look about us whilst things were going okay, or whilst we were on a level playing field with them. Maybe it would have been like Doncaster, that we'd have seen out, we'd have won the game. But that's my concern. My concern isn't so much players or any of that. My concern is this mentality, because we're not going to go through many games of football and the opposition not have a chance or do something that we don't like. And until that changes, nothing is going to change. Now, if bringing promotion off the table changes that, well, yeah, let's do it. Let's absolutely do it. But I don't think it does. I look back to that Graham Jones situation, You had Collins up front screaming blue murder if you didn't get the ball. I don't see that. You have leaders at the back organising, telling people where they need to be. I definitely don't see that. I think we need to focus on getting that side of things sorted before we worry about league positions or anything like that.
Well, I think that all comes as part of the package. I think, but if you take the the top line aim and objective of the off the radar, and then deal with those things, perhaps you've got a fighting chance because we're going around in circles of and we've even said it. You know, Jack has said it in the week in the build up that this play he thinks this squad is good enough to get promotion and go up, and I think it's not what our eyes are telling us. On paper, I am capable of opening a tube of Pringles and only eating 5 of them, but I didn't get this physique by doing that. Everybody knows I'm snaffling the whole lot in one go.
Once you
We
pop, you can't stop.
we need to deal with the reality of the situation and stop projecting other things. It may be true, but right now it isn't. It's not. The proof and the evidence is not true. So, I think we just need to deal with the reality of it.
It'll be interesting to see his reaction this week, won't it, Jack? I don't know when the pre-match press conference for Northampton is, but it's obviously going to be towards the end of the week. It'll be interesting to see if he's still got those vibes, or if he's had a bit of a reality check. Because a lot of those words that he gave in that first week were to try and install some belief and confidence in the players. He might,
And that's fine.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think that we said it as well. Everything he said, and that's why people had a good buzz about the thing, and that's perfectly acceptable. I was excited, didn't quite skip down to the down to the ground.
There's no video for that person who requested
no
it.
footage of it. But everyone was excited. The buzz about the place was there even before the game. The noise levels were good. Him getting clapped out, the players getting clapped back in when they went off back in to get changed after their warm up. All of it was good because that week build up was good. And the hype was good. But it's the hype that kills you. But it's the reality of the actual match day situation that I'm not sure we're coming to terms with. And I hope he can do that. He's got experienced heads around him. Obviously got 2 new coaches that come in on the Friday, so they've not really had any time to work with them at all. So maybe this will be different. And if you're clutching at optimistic straws, then there's that stat about the manager for a decade now. Every manager hasn't not come in and won their first game. So it could change. Of course it could. But have you got any confidence in could at the moment?
I think it will change. I don't think Jack can keep doing what everyone else has been doing. I don't think that. It's not going to change if you don't change something. We've just got to hope, and again, it's hope, but we've got to hope that he and/or Chris Powell and/or these 2 new coaches have worked in enough environments that they've been in downturns. Now, Wilshere would have been at Arsenal when Unai Emery took over from Arsene Wenger, and that didn't go particularly great. So he's been in a slump inside, admittedly a much better slump inside than the one that he's in. But Chris Powell's managed and coached slump insides and sides that are in a rough trot and things like that. And, we've just got to hope that that comes out of it. The other thing we need to recognise, Jimbo, is that as supporters, we need to do our bit too. You referenced it a minute ago about bringing Ronnie Henry in to do all of that. Well, it was the support that helped turn the ship around in the conference. Now, I get it, right? The football is boring. I get it. I completely understand it. We should be playing much better football than we are. We should be higher up the table than what we are, and everything else. But it was Wilshere's first game yesterday. The booing during the game serves no purpose. And I hate to be the person to say this, but I will say it. And if you have pelters for me, you have pelters for me. So be it. The reaction to the Nicky Wells substitution in the crowd was just not right. You know, was he good yesterday? No, he wasn't. He was terrible. You could argue he was Mansfield's best player for the 50-odd minutes he was on the pitch. Did he mean to be that bad? No, I'm pretty convinced he didn't mean to be that bad. Did he mean to miss the penalty? Absolutely not. Did he mean to play the geezer clean through on goal? I'm pretty sure he didn't. But ultimately, cheering when he went off, we all know he had a bad game, right? He'll have, if he sat in between us 2 right now, I'm 99.9% certain he holds his hands up and he says, "Look, I didn't have a great game, or I contributed to two significant. I contributed negatively to 2 significant moments in the game." But have we seen the last of Nicky Wells in a Luton shirt? No, we haven't, because we only have this squad until January, and as I've said 2 or 3 times, who knows where and when we're ever going to see Ali Al Hamadi. We've got Nordos who can't seem to score. We've got Yates who can't seem to score. At some point, we are going to see Wells again in a Luton shirt. His last memory is being clapped off. Now, next time he's in front of goal or in a position where he's got a decision to make, either shoot and maybe score a goal for us, or a pass, which is probably more difficult but is going to create less hassle, he's probably going to take the pass, right? Because that's the mindset that we've created for him. I don't like that, to be honest. I'm not saying you have to love the guy or enjoy what he did yesterday. I'm not saying that. But cheering when he went off, the guy looked distraught when he was on the sidelines. Now I saw a report that said that he come away from international duty because of personal reasons. I don't know how true that is, and I don't know what they are, and I wouldn't want to pry anyway. But I just don't see what positive impact that is possibly going to have for when we need him down the line. And we do need Nicky Wells down the line. Unfortunately, whether you like it or you don't, whether you appreciate that he hasn't had a great start to his Luton career, and I'm not sitting here saying he has, I would have expected much more goal output from a guy with his reputation. I would. I think he's underperforming XG worse than anyone else in the side right now. I get all of that, but he is not doing it on purpose. The very least we can do is support these people. When he misplaced that pass against Mansfield, rather than everyone booing, he knew he played a wrong pass. You only had to look at the guy, and that's why I said no one went and put their arm around him and lifted him, nor did the crowd. If the crowd had stood up and said and clapped, because we were playing well at that point, clapped and raised his spirits, who knows, he might have gone up the other end and scored. Someone else might have picked up on it or whatever. But the booing during the game, after the game, you've paid your money, you're well within your rights to voice your displeasure. It doesn't serve any purpose other than getting it off your chest, but you're still within your rights to do it. You've forked out good money, you've not seen what you've paid for. But during the game, we've literally just had 2 weeks ago James Shea tell us he feels James Shea, this is senior player, loves this club, knows everything about the good times at this club and the bad times. We've literally just had him tell us he thinks he's playing against 13 men. And we've just jumped on and made him a 14th man rather than level it out and be the 12th man. Now, if we're going to go forward, look, the players are the players and they're their own problem. They're Jack's problem. They're the football club's problem. But what we can do in this situation is just help out a little bit, show a little bit of empathy, because I'm guessing the 12,000 of you that were there yesterday went there to watch Luton win. And yet, I've just said the reaction to every single thing that we do is a joke when it goes against us. It is. It is an absolute joke. I wouldn't expect any professional team of any sport to react in the way that we do time and time and time and time again. But when the bricks are falling down, let's not put a bulldozer through it in the stands as well. Let's try and build them up again, you know?
100% agree with all that. I've been banging that drum for a while. I don't think it helps anyone. But there are people that will not take that point at all, and they think that they pay their money so they can shout and scream, and
And to
that's a
those
mentality switch that has to change. But I don't see how it will.
and to those people, I simply ask you, when have we been successful when fans haven't been right behind this football club? I've been doing this for 35 years. And don't get me wrong, it is an absolute piece of cake to support this football team in the good times. It is a piece of cake. We're a brilliant team to support in the good times. It's a lot harder to support us in the bad times. And there are many of you watching this. I know this because you all come up to me and you're all of a similar age to me, if not slightly older than me, that have been through the bad times. And it is hard to follow anyone through it, particularly in today's world of social media where you're getting gloated at and you're getting laughed at and everything else. But if we can't support them, then what support are they going to get? Really? You look at the Mansfield fans yesterday. You know, they were under serious pressure. When they conceded that penalty, they weren't getting on the geezer's back who gave a penalty away for no reason. You know, they didn't. Whereas as soon as Mads Anderson gives a penalty away, which he didn't even give away, geezer belts the ball at him from a yard out. How many other handballs in that game were not given, by the way, that were much more handballs? And we're booing,
Mm. Yeah.
you know? And then, of course, It doesn't work. Every time Millie Alley tried to do something, and I felt sorry for Millie Alley yesterday because he was one of the few on the pitch, Jordan Clark aside, who tried to do things positively. He lost the ball now and again, or his final thing, like when he got when he got into the box and he tried to pass it to Clark and he missed him by 10 yards, and everyone's down on him like a ton of bricks. No, raise his spirits, get him in that position again. And do you know what? Next time he's in that position and he sees Clark free on the edge of the box, his shoulders might be a bit more relaxed. He might look up, he might pick him out, and Jordan Clark might score. The next time Zach Nelson puts the ball over the crossbar from the identical position to where their guy scored from, don't boo it. Clap. You've got into a good position. You weren't close enough. It wasn't good enough. But come on, Zach, you can do it. Get in that position again. And you never know if he's in that position 5 minutes later, it might go in the top corner. But booing, they're not going to want to get in that position. And if they don't get in that position, we are, well, Donald ducked.
All those things are true, and it just adds to the issues that they've got of confidence, the issues they've got of trying to find some fight and all that stuff that can be affected on the pitch. But
That
it
are
does have an effect.
that are there and that do need sorting out. And it's not fans' job to sort that out, right? I'm not saying it is, but don't put a grenade in amongst it as well, you know?
Yeah,
We can help with the situation. I repeat, I'm as bored as everyone with some of this football that we're watching. I'm not talking about the Jack Wilshere side of it. I'm talking about the 15 months that have gone before it. I'm bored as anyone. I've been on the concourses with you at half time and carried on drinking my beer and not gone up until 5 or 10 minutes into the second half. I've done it all. I've heard it and I feel the same way about not looking forward to my Saturdays. I get it. But when we do go through those turnstiles, I certainly do, I go through that turnstile in the hope that it's going to change this Saturday and that we're going to win. We might not win if we support them. We might still lose. But you know what? We might not. We might win. We might turn Millie Ali's bad decision making into something good. We might turn Ted and Mengi losing his runner into his concentration. We might not. We might turn Nicky Wells standing over a penalty and fearing that he's going to miss it into absolute confidence that he's going to stick it in the top corner and away we go. We might not, but let's try it. Because
yeah.
what's going on now, sure as hell ain't working. You only have to look at Lincoln, Stevenage, yesterday. I get that. I get why it's done. It just don't help.
No, it doesn't help, and that's part of the reason why I think just take this pressure off the lads, and let's we may have to be in League One for another season. I think just take that expectation off them. It's still achievable mathematically, but what we're seeing is not a team that is capable of it at the moment. I mean, I was in the press conference yesterday with Nigel Clough, and he said we're just happy to be in League One, and if we get anywhere near the top six, bonus. We just got beaten by that side, so and they could have scored a lot more goals than they did. So perhaps that's it for starters. Strip it all back to the very, very basics, and go from there. And I know some people won't like that, and they won't want that, but maybe that's what you have to do. If the whole engine isn't working, maybe stop tinkering around the edges of fixing it. I'd like to give you a better analogy about engines. I don't know if you're about engines, but to stop tinkering around the edges and just get a new motor, get a new, start again.
Yeah, yeah. It needs changing the mentality on the pitch, but we can still change ours off the pitch. And again, for fear of repeating myself, I'll say it. I understand why people are frustrated. I get it. In fact, weirdly enough, and it's only recently, do I think that people are getting frustrated with the players because beforehand fans were frustrated with manager, which we've seen is not the problem now, with board and with recruitment. And they're all legitimate, but it was the players who were copying it even during that time. And we're not gonna play this style of football that we want us to do whilst there's a fear culture created around the football pitch. That's just fact. Whether we've got senior players, whether we've got young players, it's human nature that if you're going to cop it, and I know that we're all like, well, they're getting paid all this, that, and the other. They're still a human being at the end of the day. If you saw Nicky Wells on that sideline after he went off, I couldn't tell from the Kenilworth end. I'm the other side of the goal to the dugouts, but he looked like he was close to sobbing if he wasn't sobbing, and it just didn't sit right with me, to be honest, Jimbo. I just don't see the point of clapping someone when they're going off. No one, no footballer needs telling if they've had a bad game. They're not stupid. They know it, you know. I'd rather look at it the other way. He had the balls to stand up and take that penalty, having missed the last one. Didn't miss it on purpose. Funnily enough, it nearly squirmed through the goalkeeper, didn't it? Whereas the other one was a much better hit penalty that was well saved. But we were in. I think most of us were enjoying the football that we played in that period between sort of 15 and 40 minutes in the game. I certainly was. We were getting into the box. We were getting chances, and I've watched Deggy's video, and people around him in the what I call the rowdy corner were enjoying it. They were singing songs and everything else. But then it stopped, and then the performance disappeared. And I don't know. Maybe on Saturday at Northampton we can get behind them from start to finish, and who knows, start to dig us out of this rot. I'm not blaming supporters. I'm not. I understand why it is. I just don't think it helps. I really don't. And that's that, Jimbo. Bit of housekeeping to do. Got a competition. We got our competition. Thanks to everyone who got in touch with us and put your entry in for the competition. We got loads of entries via YouTube. We got plenty of entries from those of you that are audio listeners, and of course, the answer to the question of who scored that long range effort against Cambridge United in 2017. 2017 was, of course, Ollie Lee, and well done to everyone who also remembered Danny Hilton's knee slide, which was equally as iconic as the goal itself. And what we've done is we've put all of the correct entries into a random, what are they called? Random result generator or something to do with that.
It's a wheel of names.
And we're about to reveal the winner. Jimbo's got it on his phone, and he's going to put it onto the camera now. And away we go, Jimbo.
Here we go. There's 95 of you got the correct answers, so good luck. And this is the winner of the first book. It's turning around for anyone that's just listening on the audio, and we're going to get a winner.
I'm glad it weren't yellow.
Now, Tom Long 81, you are the first winner of Rob Hadgraff's new book, Luton Town Miracle. Well done.
Tom, if you can get in touch with me via email, media, media, at lutontownsporterstrust.com. Let me have your address. We'll get that book sent out to you. Congratulations, mate.
Well done, Tom. 2 more of you can get a chance now.
Oh, we might as well do the second one now then, hadn't we? Yeah, and let's go for competition number 2, second of the 3 books that we've got to give away. We're giving away copy of the brand new book by Hatters fan and journalist and author Rob Hadgraff, Luton Town's Miracle, The Fairy Tale Rise from Non-League to the Premier League. Let's hope he's not writing the sequel to that anytime soon. It's a month-by-month chronicle of the decade-long journey from obscurity to football's top table. It is a must-read for any Luton fan. And to be in with a chance of winning the second copy of the 3, you've got 2 ways to enter. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment your answer to the following question. Slightly trickier one, this one, potentially, Jimbo. Which Luton defender volleyed a worldie against Middlesbrough on the opening day of the 2019-2020 season? I'll repeat that. Which Luton defender volleyed home a worldie against Middlesbrough on the opening day of the 2019-2020 season? If you're listening on audio, not a problem. You can email your answer to media, media, at lutontownsporterstrust.com. Write in the subject line LTST Podcast Giveaway 2 and include your answer plus your name. Entries for this competition close at 5 p.m. on Sunday, October the 26th, so you've got slightly longer to get your entry in for this one. And we'll pick the winner at random, and we'll announce it on the reaction podcast to, well, please let it be a victory at Northampton. If you're not successful, don't worry, because we've got one more book to give away, which we will do after that when we come around to doing the Forest Green preview. So you've got one more chance to win if you don't win this time. Good luck. You'll find all of the competition details in the show notes. And yeah, fingers crossed, you're the one who gets the book.
Fingers crossed.
Score predictions. Kind of pleased to say that none of you got the right answer. No one went Luton 0, Mansfield 2. There were a couple have got Mansfield to win the game, so you'll get an extra point. There isn't too much of an update on the leaderboard. We've been focusing on competitions and everything else around the game, so I've not got an up-to-date leaderboard yet. But by the time we get the Northampton game done, I'll have that up to date.
Is the full one on the website yet?
It is. The full one is on the Trust website.
So you can see all of the standings where you are, because we can only show you the top 5 on screen if you're watching on the YouTube version. But yeah,
it is. What I'll do is I'll keep on updating that every sort of 10 games or so on the Trust website, just so it doesn't keep on clogging it up and things like that. So once we get to game 20, I'll put it back on the Trust website just so that you know where we are. We'll have the score predictions and everything for the Northampton game, as always. Not the start to Jack Wilshere ball that we wanted. There were signs in that first half that football-wise, he's getting his ideas across. Let's hope mentality-wise he can start to get his ideas across over the next 7 days or so. Thanks very much for all the support that you guys have given the podcast. Lots of you come up to me outside the ground yesterday whilst I was having a pint in that new fan zone which they've put up, which is actually pretty good. Created a nice buzz before the game, Jimbo. I met the person I said was Steve Foster, but not that one. I met him yesterday. It's a pleasure to meet you, Steve, and plenty of others also came up to me before and after the game. So we really do appreciate that. Thanks again to all the folks at Marsh House, the proud new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast. Once again, they've got a fundraiser for the studio here on Saturday between 2 and 10 p.m. called Don't Beat SAD. It's an event to beat the winter blues with live music, uplifting activities, fundraising support and food. So if you've not got a ticket to the Northampton game, we'd really love it if you can come down here at some point during the course of that day. Thanks also to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music. Until next time, from Jimbo and myself, let it improve town, please.